How are we doing, Ram fans? Tough game tonight. That's all I can say. We knew it was going to be a tough one going into Viejas against an angry San Diego State team that got embarrassed over the weekend by New Mexico. Rams come out on the bottom end of the score to the tune of 75-60. It was a back and forth game in the first half. Rams hung close. We're within three, missed a free throw, gave up a banked in three at the buzzer, went in down 6 and did not really come out and never really threatened in the second half. To the Rams' credit, they fought. They went down mid double digits almost. I think they might even have gone down 20 points. They fought. They didn't give up, but it was not enough. And this is going to be a pretty short show today. This was simply San Diego State doing what San Diego State does, and their formula for winning is to turn you over and score off turnovers. Here we got a comment here. Bird had a field day on both ends. You know, I sent a text to somebody during the game. Yeah, Bird did have a field day. He's a heck of a player. Look at his numbers: 25 points, 6 rebounds, 7 steals. Miles Bird was recruited by CSU. He was a high priority target. His dad played at Villanova, so Villanova recruited him heavily. CSU recruited him heavily. San Diego State recruited him heavily. He ended up at San Diego State. He would have been awesome in a CSU uniform. He's a heck of a player. If you've been following me and doing any of the Mountain West work I do, I had Miles Bird as one of my breakout players of the year this year. And he's shown very strong signs of being an all-conference, first-team all-conference player. And depending on what happens, you never know what happens. They end up finishing in first. He could be a player of the year. He's that good. But I started talking about the turnover thing. I'm going to pull up the box score, and this game is simply decided. CSU did a great job rebounding. They didn't shoot the ball badly. The offense, I will tell you right now, other than the turnovers, wasn't that bad. You can say, yeah, there were some things they could have done better, but here's the deal. Here we go. Miles Bird put on a show. Sorry it had to happen to CSU. Joey, he did put on a show. He's a great player. Like I said, I just talked about him. He was recruited heavily by CSU. I remember Aaron Katsuma telling me about him when he was on his visit and said, we'd really love to get this guy. And, the one thing I will give credit to San Diego State for and CSU for is they recognized that he was going to be, there was something special in that young man. He was not necessarily the most heavily recruited player on the West Coast, but when you get two really good coaching staffs that really understand what kind of players are going to develop into very, very good, very, very good players, Miles Bird was one of those kids. And so credit to Dutcher and his staff, credit to Nico and his staff for recognizing this kid is very, very good. But let's get back to the one thing in the box score. What did San Diego State do well? They turned the Rams over and they scored off turnovers. The final score, the difference in the game, was a 15-point game. Points off turnovers, 22-8, 14-point margin. Turnovers, 20-10. CSU, and let me show you the other thing I want to show you. Let's pull up the CSU box. So 20 turnovers on 65 possessions. All right. That means they had 45 possessions where they didn't turn the ball over. I will tell you right now, you score 60 points on 45 possessions, you're doing reasonably well. That's 1.33 points per possession where you didn't turn the ball over. The biggest issue I have, obviously, is going into the game, the Rams knew they couldn't turn the ball over, and they did. And that was the game. I that wasn't the only part of the game, but that was it in a nutshell. and give San Diego State credit. That is their formula. It works. That's what they do. You look at the rebounds, total rebounds, 32 to 32, very even, second chance points. But then we come down to another part of it, bench points. The CSU starting lineup, they were minuses. They played a lot of minutes, but and they were minuses. They weren't great because they turned the ball over. Other than the turnovers, they were fine. But you look at the bench and what CSU performed. We got 2 free throws out of freshman Kyle Jorgensen. The 3 veterans, the ones that you need to perform, 4th-year player transfer Keyshawn Williams, 5th-year player Bowen Bourne transfer, 5th-year player Ethan Morton transfer. All of them 0 points, 4 rebounds between them. They did foul well. They didn't turn the ball over too much, but they didn't play a lot of minutes. I mean, the bench 14, 10, 13, and 14 minutes. Normally you'll see one of them get 18 to 20 minutes, and the rest, most of them get between 15 and 20. Nico had to ride the starters today because the bench was not ready to play today. Let's just leave it at that. They've been great. They were fantastic the last game. They played some games where they've scored a ton of points. Today wasn't their day. Viejas is a tough place to play. So let's here we go. Tough night for CSU, but I like the sophomores. Evans can shoot the ball. You know, Joey, in November, Kyan Evans was really struggling. He was not playing very well, and it looked like it was going to be a long season. And then Kyan, he had a good game. I can't remember the order of the games, but he actually played a pretty good second half against CU. Started shooting the ball against Loyola Marymount. Played good against Radford, and he's been averaging double digits in the Mountain West. I think he's averaging 11 or 12 points a game in the Mountain West, and his field goal percentage from 3 is right around 60%. He's become a deadeye. I will tell you, I went to a practice, Joey, last week. CSU does a lot of shooting drills. Sometimes they'll do 1-minute shooting drills. Sometimes they do 2-minute shooting drills. And they do a lot of catch and shoot stuff. And I saw Kyan Evans make 39 threes in 2 minutes. Do the math. That's a 3 every 3 seconds when he's shooting. Yes, he's not guarded, but that's just a shooting drill. He's become quite a shooter, and he's going to be a weapon. He turned the ball over a little bit tonight, especially in the second half. He turned the ball over 4 times. He's got to get a little better with the ball, a little better with his decision making. But again, here we go. I don't think he hit the rim tonight. He's a good shooter. Nick Clifford struggled today, and for whatever reason, Nick is our best player. He's the top of the scouting report. San Diego State did a great job on Nick to the tune of, Nick shooting 5 for 16, 1 for 8 from 3-point range, and he's a 40% shooter. 6 rebounds, did his normal thing on the boards. He usually averages 9 to 10. But the 6 turnovers really stood out. He was just he struggled. San Diego State is very, very good defensively. A lot of good long players, and when Nick's the top of the scouting report, sometimes he tries to do a little too much. Here we go, Gartrell. If you looked at the box score minus the turnovers, you'd think this was a close game. Held their own on the boards, but just a ton of lazy passes. They look like lazy passes. A lot of that is the length of San Diego State and the way they play at Viejas. They're a different team at Viejas, folks. They are different at elevation. They don't play with the same level of energy when they play in Fort Collins or Albuquerque or Laramie that as they do at sea level at Viejas. They really come at you. And there's a lot of length. They make it this year's team makes it very, very hard to score at the rim with the Guath kid, who is his wingspan is, I don't know, 7'4", 7'6". It's something ridiculous. Credit to our guys. You look at the starting lineup. Mbemba fought his way to 11 points. Jalen Lake had a decent game, 15 points, 4 rebounds, shot 5 for 9. Crocker Johnson, 7 points, 5 rebounds. Good experience for him. Kyan Evans with 14. The 3, did they hold their own? Your starting lineup did okay. They could have done a little better, obviously, not turning the ball over. But three sophomores playing in probably the toughest place. I shouldn't say the toughest place they're going to play. They're going to have to play in the pit. They're going to have to play in Logan. But I had a feeling this was coming. This is a very, very good experience for them. The last time they played, they played on the road, a tough road venue in Boulder, in front of a pretty hostile crowd, and they really struggled there. Ended up losing by 17. I think their toughest game of the year was not quite a home game for Ole Miss back in at a neutral site 30 miles from Oxford. And Mississippi ran out to a 20-point lead, and CSU came back in the second half and ended up losing by 15. This was, I think, the toughest test since Ole Miss. I like San Diego State. Yes, they struggled like crazy against New Mexico over the weekend, but I think a lot of that, I think they worried too much about elevation, to be honest with you. I thought their sub patterns were a little screwy, and they never could find any rhythm, and they got murdered on the glass after they went up to Boise and beat Boise. They didn't seem to have that same mentality when it came to playing on the road at Boise, because it isn't at 5,000 feet. So I have a lot of respect for the San Diego State team. I think they're a tournament team. But they showed it tonight. They're a good team. By the way, I was going to mention Ole Miss. Ole Miss went into Alabama, who's ranked 4th or 5th in the country. They went into Tuscaloosa today and won by 8 or 10 points. Ole Miss is a very good team. So, this will hurt CSU a little bit. It'll help. It'll help San Diego State get back on track, and look for San Diego State to make a little bit of a run. I think they have a little bit of a favorable schedule. I think they were one of the teams that has a little bit of the favorable schedule. CSU will have a couple of days. They'll fly home. Won't be any extra. If they get the snacks tonight, they won't be celebrating with snacks. They might have drinks after the game, load up on electrolytes and stuff, have a flight home, and then it's getting ready for Wyoming, who took it on the chin tonight to the tune of 90-something to 50-something. For a while, Wyoming looked like they were going to approach the all-time worst loss in the Mountain West. They were tracking that way. They were down, I think it was like 78 to 32 or something like that. Reminded me of the biggest margin ever in the Mountain West was the game at CSU, Nevada's first year in the Mountain West, and they were terrible. CSU went up 55 to 12 or 55 to 13 in the first half and won 98 to 42. And that 58-point margin is still the largest margin. That was the 2015 team. And that was, we played a lot of our second teamers in that game, but we had a dynamite second team with future Mountain West Player of the Year, Gian Clavel, John Gillen, who was Sixth Man of the Year. Joe Deciman played on that team. I'm not sure he played much in the second half when CSU ran out to the lead. But anyway, Wyoming is going to come in feeling, I kind of think they might have spent their time preparing for CSU. No coach ever lost his job at Wyoming, beating. You can lose 10 games as long as you beat CSU. You're in good shape. So look for Wyoming to be a buzzsaw in Laramie on Saturday. Again, they're going to be angry for CSU. Tough prep. Just a real quick spin around the Mountain West. San Diego State, they got a game back on New Mexico tonight. New Mexico went up to San Jose and lost. It was a very interesting game. I watched it, a good portion of it, and San Jose State clawed their way after falling behind. They hit a couple of crazy threes to get back to take after going down by 3, 7-0 run by New Mexico late. Looked like they had the game put away. They hit a 3 to tie the game. Donovan Dent comes down, hits it wasn't Donovan Dent. It was a couple of free throws. They scored. New Mexico scored free throws. or no, it was nah, I can't remember. Anyway, down two, San Jose State hit a crazy three to take the lead by one. I think it was Donovan Dent scored a baseline jumper. It might have been no, it was Nelly Jr. Joseph on a wide open layup where San Jose State missed a rotation. 1 point game. San Jose State comes down, misses a shot, gets a rebound, misses a shot, gets a rebound, and a guy throws in about a 12-foot bank shot with 2 seconds left. And 2 seconds isn't enough for Donovan Dent to score. San Jose State even denied him the ball. The ball went to Nelly Jr. Joseph, and he threw up some crap from half court, and it didn't even come close. But an amazing win by San Jose State, a killer loss for New Mexico. And so all of a sudden, now it's Utah State in the lead by themselves. And Utah State, let's see, they have a tricky game tomorrow night. They play. Who do they play? They play. Do they play Nevada? No, they're UNLV. Anyway, they've got some tricky games. San Diego State, I think, has a pretty good run. New Mexico goes home to Boise State, and that will be a very, very interesting game on Friday night. What was the point of fouling on the three at the end? There was no point. It just happens. End of the shot clock. No need to foul. All you got to do is just stand there and defend. Completely pointless. Well, actually, it wasn't pointless. It resulted in 3 points for San Diego State, but that's just the way it goes. It was going to end at a 12-point game, a 15-point game, whatever. The bottom line is CSU knew what they needed to do. They turned the ball over. San Diego State knew what they needed to do. They turned CSU over. They scored off of turnovers, put the ball in the basket when they needed to. And so credit to San Diego State. I think the Rams will grow up from this game. I think we knew this is going to be a tough one. This is not one you have penciled in as a win. If you walk away from Viejas with a win, that's really something. Utah State did it. I'm not sure anybody else will do it this year. San Diego State's awfully good. The last time the Rams won in San Diego State was the COVID year in front of no crowd, when they came back from a 26-point first half deficit and I believe, 11-point or 13-point deficit with 3 minutes to go. John Tanji with a corner three got fouled by Jordan Shackle, made the free throw to take the lead. Rams stopped. As I remember, David Roddy stopping Matt Mitchell, who tried to get to the rim. Roddy walled up, stopped Matt Mitchell. Rams got the rebound. Kendall Moore made 2 free throws. Game over. That's the last time the Rams won. Before that, I think it was Clavell in his 2017 MVP Mountain West Player of the Year season, when Clavell scored about, I think it was a career high. I think he had 35 or 37. I can't remember the number, but we don't win there. It's a hard place to win. Last year's team, I mean, don't forget, last year's team was a top team, and they lost by, it was more than 14, I believe. They were up by 14 at the half and lost the second half. They lost by 16 last year. I think they lost the second half 41-11. So credit to our guys for fighting in the second half when they went down. Games can get away from you at Viejas, and they at least fought their way. And I do like the fight in this team. But they're going to have to come home, lick their wounds, and figure out a way to get better and prepare for what will be a rabid crowd in Boise, or not Boise, in Laramie. It'll be cold. It'll be snowy. If the crowd can make it to the game, they will be crazy. Word is that it's going to be probably close to 0 with snow, but you never know. Maybe the wind won't blow. Maybe it won't blow 30 miles an hour. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to call it a night. Thanks for staying up with me. This is way past my bedtime. Once again, final score: San Diego State 75, Colorado State 60. Miles Bird with a MVP performance for San Diego State. Rams fighting their way in the second half, but could never get the traction to get back in the game. So anyway, thanks again for joining me. I'll be on Thursday night. Haven't decided who I'm going to get as a guest. Don't know if I'm going to get somebody from CSU or maybe somebody from outside of CSU, but we'll do a Swallowpalooza Thursday. And then, of course, I'll do my Saturday final score show. So thanks again for watching. We'll catch you later in the week. Go Rams.